News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by the Duck Hunter. A 32-year-old Garland man was arrested Monday for allegedly sexting with an undercover police officer posing as a 13-year-old girl. Carlos Garcia Rivera was booked into the Cache County Jail after a warrant had been issued for his arrest a month ago. According to the warrant affidavit, Garcia messaged a Logan City police officer through a social messaging app on September 8th. The officer was using a Facebook profile to pose as a 13-year-old girl. During the conversation, Garcia allegedly asked the officer to travel to his apartment for $150. The suspect even provided the officer his address in Garland. The warrant stated that when the officer asked if the money was for drugs, Garcia replied that it was for sex. He then asked for a photo of the girl and tried to video chat before sending a graphic picture of himself. The police officer was able to identify Garcia from a recent jail booking photo taken around 2018. It appeared to resemble his Facebook profile picture. Prosecutors with the Cache County Attorney's Office filed criminal charges against Garcia in First District Court. It included one count of enticing a minor by internet or text, a second-degree felony, and sexual solicitation of a child and dealing in materials harmful to a minor, both third-degree felonies. Jail records show Garcia is being held on $10,000 bail. He will likely be arraigned before a judge Wednesday afternoon. KVNU News Time is 4:06. KVNU weather for tonight. Looks like partly cloudy skies is the forecast for this evening, and then mostly clear, mid-20s for the overnight low. Partly cloudy Wednesday morning, partly sunny, a slight chance of rain in the afternoon, mid-40s, and then rain likely Wednesday evening. Rain and snow likely after midnight with little or no accumulation, low in the upper 20s. Cloudy, 50% chance of snow on Thursday, and high temperature in the mid-30s. There is a winter storm watch in effect from Wednesday afternoon through Thursday afternoon for the mountains of northern Utah. Our high today, 49. It's 47 right now at KVNU. Work with the Cache Valley team of Northern Steel Buildings to build a stronger, more durable, long-lasting structure for your needs. Visit northernsteelbuilding.com or call 435-677-7300.
How often should you change the filter on your furnace? A lot of people are surprised when they find out that most filters are only good for 60 to 90 days. Some cheaper filters won't even last that long. If you buy a good quality filter, you should still have it checked or replaced every year. Doing this will make sure your furnace runs more efficiently and keep the air that you breathe cleaner. For a free consultation, call the Duck Hunter, 770-4813.
KVNU News Time is 4:08. Utah marked a milestone of the Emergency Rental Assistance Program with the distribution of $100 million in assistance to help renters stay in their homes since March 2021. Utah received $215 million in federal funds for the program as a partnership of 5 entities: the Utah Department of Workforce Services, Salt Lake City, and Salt Lake, Davis, and Utah counties. Including administrative costs, the state has spent more than 50% of its allocated funds. The program in Utah has paid more than 21,000 applications. Most applications cover more than 1 month of rent and other costs. Christina Oliver, director of the Housing and Community Development Division of Workforce Services, said they are pleased that they have been able to help so many Utahns, but of equal importance is that there is still assistance available. They encourage anyone who's having trouble paying their rent to visit rentrelief.utah.gov to learn more about eligibility and apply. Assistance is available for renters who have a household income of 80% or below the area median income and have been directly or indirectly financially impacted by the pandemic. And it was announced yesterday, Utah Governor Spencer J. Cox has ordered the lowering of the flag of the U.S. and the flag for the state of Utah in all state facilities in recognition of the life and legacy of Senator Bob Dole, who died Sunday at the age of 98. Flags should be lowered to half staff until sunset on Thursday, December 9th. Private citizens and businesses are encouraged to participate as well. KVNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Keeping you informed 24/7. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Your local bank branch is just a tap, swipe, and click away. Thanks to Bank Live from D.L. Evans Bank. Bank Live is fast, simple, convenient video banking from wherever you are. From simple transactions like transfers to things you usually do from a branch like applying for loans to opening new accounts and signing documents. Personalized service is just a video call away. This is Bank Live from D.L. Evans Bank. This is community banking.
At Winco, we're working to save you money. Big savings on top quality meat, produce, seafood, and deli. Bakery fresh breads, cakes, and cookies made daily in store. Low prices on top quality national brands and thousands of our own private label. In every aisle, every department, every day.
Now open in Logan at 1341 North Main Street.
Kids just want to get out in the world and have fun. But their lives have been put on hold. Getting them thriving again safely starts with protecting them from COVID-19 and dangerous new variants. Get the latest facts by speaking to your pediatrician or healthcare provider, or by visiting getvaccineanswers.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Hi, I'm Carson Kressley. Of all the most valuable resources in the world, kindness is the most precious. For more than 140 years, American Humane has been working to make the world a kinder place for animals. Rescuing those caught in disasters, protecting animals on our farms, on the silver screen, and the world's remarkable and endangered species who need our care to help them survive. All of us can make a difference by making humane choices at the supermarket, in our choice of entertainment, and by supporting conservation and rescue efforts. It's not hard at all. Make being kind a lifestyle choice and visit AmericanHumane.org for simple ways you can help build a more caring, compassionate, and humane world for animals and for all of us.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Welcome to KVNU's For the People. I say welcome back because I'm going through listener...
Borrowing from Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, that's welcome back from yesterday. No, I was going through email here as we prepare for the live show and had a few folks asking where they can find the audits discussed on the show yesterday with the Cache County Clerk and Auditor Jess Bradfield. And being in a hurry towards the end of the hour, I'd said you can find them at cachecounty.org/clerk. It's a bit more complicated than that. So there were 2 audits done by the Cache County Clerk and Auditor Jess Bradfield and his office, also working with the state auditor and attorneys to make sure that they were understanding state code. That was the point of the audits, to see if Cache County is meeting the requirements of state code in the recorder's office and the executive. And both of those audits are available at cachecounty.org, but they're available independently at each audited office's portion of that site. So for the recorder's audit, it's cachecounty.org/recorder. And for the executive office audit, it's cachecounty.org/executive. And I've linked to both of those on our Facebook page yesterday, just after that hour. And of course, you can listen to the entire hour via our podcast at the Podcastics service. Search Podcastics, KVNU's For the People. You'll find that page, and you can subscribe there. Download each and every episode of the show in your podcast app of choice. You can also listen directly at kvnutalk.com in the on-demand section there any day of the week. So a lot of different ways you can hear that interview yesterday with Cache County Clerk and Auditor Jess Bradfield. But if you'd like to download them and read them, again, it is cachecounty.org/recorder for the recorder audit and recorder's office audit, and cachecounty.org/executive for the executive office audit. And again, for those who missed the show yesterday, these were fascinating looks at some minor changes that could be made that could really improve things for Cache County. The one that stands out to me really is having the recorder's office kind of get up to speed in the 2021 with using new technology and making sure that, for example, ownership plats are actually accurate and available as an easy searchable website, things that are actually mandated in state code. And a way to do that without additional, raising of taxes or anything like that would be simply to start using the recorder office fees to pay for the recorder's office instead of dumping it back into the general fund. Again, it's up to the county council whether they do anything with these audit results and recommendations. But I think some of these recommendations, the council's going to have a pretty decent excuse to not act on them. Because these could save a lot of money and improve things quite a bit as far as efficiency goes with some very minor changes. So check them out. Again, cachecounty.org/recorder. You can download the recorder's office audit, and cachecounty.org/executive. You can download the executive office audit, both done by the Cache County Clerk and Auditor Jess Bradfield, his team there in the office, and the state auditor helping out on those as well, John Dougal. So very cool stuff. Check it out. I've linked to them on our Facebook page. Today marks the 80th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. That is a pretty big deal. 80 years is a really long time, but this is something that understandably is still very fresh on everyone's memory. Every time this anniversary comes around each year, for me, I think what really always stands out is how unbelievable it would have been to have, of course, been there, but also to have even just listened to the news coverage of the day. We're all, of course, more familiar with, and most of us listening right now lived through the attack on September 11th, 2001. But when Pearl Harbor played out, this was mainly a radio news coverage event. 1941 was, we had TV news then, right, Bill? You're kind of a historian on this, but...
Well, television was around as experimental. It had been around since the 30s, but World War II kind of put a pause on television technology really taking off. So yeah, it was all radio and
a radio event, basically,
and newspaper, of course.
Well, it's fascinating to me because to hear this play out in radio clips of the day.
how they broke news was much different back then than it is now. There were no, fancy news sounders as much.
Sure.
Like they have now.
Well, and it was
a different era.
Yeah, it was more raw. It sounded, you were very aware of the fact, if you listen to some of these old broadcasts from 1941, from this attack, December 7th, 1941, which will give you the pleasure of getting to hear on the other side of the break here. I've collected some of the actual audio of, including one that is the last broadcast that day. They were able to get back up and running the next day, but it was the last broadcast that day from KGU in Honolulu, Hawaii. And this man is, you'll hear it in a bit here, but he's sitting on the roof of the building and watching this play out. And if you've ever been over there and toured the KGU studio and the building next door, actually, that he climbed to the top of, is basically looks over the harbor and the bay there. And so he had he could see everything. They were far enough back. They did end up losing power. So the broadcast comes to an abrupt stop. And this was being fed through a couple of different stations, WOR and CBS News, basically, all radio broadcasts. But it's just harrowing to hear this play out from the early morning hours when you're getting initial reports of just, there's, I think the very first interruption that you hear, broadcast on radio in both Manila and Honolulu is an interruption that there's been an explosion. And then just minutes later, and they don't know, it's just there's been an explosion, there's probably injuries.
It's, times have not really changed as far as news reporting, because nowadays when something horrific happens, sometimes the early reports are wrong, but it's it's just based on the information that they have at the time.
Sure, that's so those earliest morning reports, a lot of them talking about an explosion, almost as if maybe there was a gas leak or some sort of incident with chemicals at a factory, and there's some speculation about that in some of those early broadcasts, and then it's just minutes later that they start breaking in. For example, timing-wise, this is happening as WOR is broadcasting, two different broadcasts happening throughout this. At one point, they're actually broadcasting a game, a baseball game, and at another point, it's an afternoon performance of the Philharmonic Orchestra. And they interrupt those to say, okay, we have just confirmed, 20 minutes into this attack that this is an act of war. And then at that point, really, radio stations throughout the country, throughout the world, pause all their programming. And this radio network, global radio network, just takes over. And it's about 24 hours of news coverage at that point as details come through. But yeah, this was an event that, no fancy video playing in a 30-second loop on CNN, no commentary from talking heads, as you probably saw if you watched things unfold on September 11th, 2001. And this was literally just radio breaking in and it sometimes canceling all other programming to provide updates as information became available. And for the first good couple of hours, no one was really sure exactly what this was all about, what was happening.
Well, and it's not like they could go to an affiliate out there in Hawaii to find out. Because,
Sure.
Everything was phone line. There wasn't satellite use back then. I don't even know if they had launched a satellite, in 1941. But, phone lines, to get a phone line transmission was quite tough, and so they were just kind of going on wire reports and maybe even telegraph reports from over there.
Sure, and that's what and the information was slow to come through. For an attack that actually happened very quickly. This was a short attack, but the loss of life and the consequences devastating. But it took a long time for information to come out because even the military wasn't sure exactly what had just happened. But within about 30, 45 minutes, you can hear, and you'll hear in just a bit, these radio broadcasts, they are saying, this is the Secretary of State is calling this an act of war. And those broadcasts going out just, what a morning. 1941. And just to quickly, I was curious, Bill, when you said you didn't know if a satellite had been launched in 1941. No.
Yeah, I think.
First I
think the only satellite up there was the moon.
I didn't know this, but the first ever satellite launched into space, into semi-permanent orbit, was January 31st, 1958.
Yeah, so quite a few years
wire
after
and
that.
Radio broadcast only at that point. So, all right, on the other side, some of the audio from the radio broadcasts as newscasters broke into programming and eventually canceled all other programming to cover the attack on Pearl Harbor in December 7th, 1941, 80 years ago today. We'll be back right after this.
Advanced Heating and AC, the gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah, is teaming up with Carrier Heating and Cooling. Carrier provides you with the best furnace units available. And now is the best time to buy a new unit before the weather turns Cache Valley cold. Financing options are available. Turn to the experts at Advanced Heating and AC and Carrier. Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning at 752-7272. Stop by at their showroom west of DI. Online, advancedheating-ac.com.
Hi everyone, it's Congressman Blake Moore. Please join me for a public telephone town hall event on Tuesday, December 7th at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Let's talk inflation, immigration, the Democrats' spending agenda, and ways my team has worked on behalf of the 1st District this year and what we look forward to achieving next year. Call in on Tuesday, December 7th at 1 p.m. Mountain Time at 833-305-1678. It's an honor to serve you, and I look forward to hearing from you on Tuesday. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. And then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
A lot of people don't understand, including myself, I didn't, now I do, the impact of having a stroke.
My memory is shot.
When I woke up, I couldn't speak.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
It's a new life, but I'm going to make it better. I'm coming back. Ask your doctor, check your blood pressure.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
I love to ride the ferry where music is so merry.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. That they are one of the top songs of 1941. Just including that in our look back at Pearl Harbor, the 80th anniversary of the Pearl Harbor attack, December 7th, 1941. And as we were discussing, a lot of interesting history about this, and if you've ever had a chance to see that memorial there in Hawaii, Honolulu rather, it's striking, to say the least, and in some ways just difficult to imagine what it would have been like to be there that day. But one thing we do have is a lot of history and a lot of recorded history from that day. One item that I found that I want to play almost in its entirety here for our listeners, because it not only captures the events as they unfolded, but also highlights how people were getting their news that day. This is live audio of a broadcast by WOR Radio on December 7th, 1941. They were midst sporting event as the news broke. Here is that broadcast as originally broadcast on December 7th, in the morning of December 7th, 1941.
Up to the 25, and now he's hit and hit hard about the 27-yard line. Bruiser Kennard made the tackle. We interrupt this broadcast and bring you this important bulletin from the United Press. Flash, Washington. The White House announces Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor.
This is CBS in America calling Honolulu. Go ahead, Honolulu. This is CBS in America calling Honolulu. Go ahead, Honolulu. Go ahead, Honolulu. We should like to now try to call in Manila, the capital of the Philippine Commonwealth. Go ahead, Manila.
Here is a flash just received in our newsroom. Dateline, Washington. United States Army transport carrying lumber was torpedoed 1,300 miles west of San Francisco. Details on this news and other news that has been coming in on the Far East situation will be given to you at approximately 3:35 during the intermission of the New York Philharmonic concert. We return you now to the New York Philharmonic Orchestra. This is John Daly speaking from the CBS newsroom in New York. Here is the Far East situation as reported to this moment. The Japanese have attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and our defense facilities at Manila, capital of the Philippines. The first disclosure of this news was made by Presidential Secretary Stephen Early by telephone at approximately 2:25 in Washington. I read the text of this historic announcement at a little after 2:30. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor from the air, and all naval and military activities on the island of Oahu, the principal American base in the Hawaiian Islands. That was Secretary Early's message. Short while later, he dictated another message. A second air attack has been reported. This one has been made on the Army and Navy bases in Manila. And here's a last-minute Associated Press flash from Honolulu. A naval engagement is in progress off Honolulu with at least one black enemy aircraft carrier in action against the Pearl Harbor defenses. Secretary Early informed all correspondents and then rushed to the White House to be with President Roosevelt. As the announcement was made, the two Japanese envoys, Ambassador Nomura and Special Emissary Kurosu, were at the State Department. Columbia's correspondent in London, Bob Trout, heard the news for the first time from our report from New York. Up to that moment, or very shortly before then, the British capital had not been informed of the Japanese attack on the Hawaiian Islands and on Manila. In view of Prime Minister Churchill's recent pledge that a British declaration of war on Japan would follow almost immediately upon the outbreak of war between Japan and the United States, a British announcement is expected soon. Columbia's correspondent, Ford Wilkins, was put on the air in CBS's regular 2:30 news program on Sunday afternoon from Manila. He was cut off the air suddenly while he was talking about air raid shelters, possibly because of censorship. In communication with Columbia's radio station, KGMB in Honolulu, we heard here in New York that the Pearl Harbor base had been attacked and anti-aircraft fire was heard. A telephone message to the United Press from Fort Schaefer in Hawaii said that 50 planes attacked the island of Oahu. The planes were officially described so far as unidentified in these messages, although later reports that have come in from the press associations definitely identify at least two of these planes as carrying the emblem of the rising sun, the emblem of Japan.
And as an addition here, just a bit from the Smithsonian Institute, an actual audio recording of the last broadcast from the KGU studios in Honolulu, Hawaii, just before those studios were destroyed in the attack.
Hello, NBC. This is KGU in Honolulu, Hawaii. I am speaking from the roof of the Advertiser Publishing Company building. We have witnessed this morning the distant view, the battle off Pearl Harbor, and a severe bombing of Pearl Harbor by enemy planes, undoubtedly Japanese. The city of Honolulu has also been attacked and considerable damage done. This battle has been going on for nearly 3 hours. It is no joke, it is a real war.
But again, actual audio from December 7th of 1941. You can watch that entire video on the Smithsonian Institute's channel, YouTube channel. Actual audio of a broadcast that was cut short by KGU in Honolulu, Hawaii, just to look at how Honolulu and the attack on Pearl Harbor were covered by radio the day of the attack of Pearl Harbor 80 years ago, December 7th, 1941. I've linked to some of this on our Facebook page, and it's harrowing to listen to, even if you know the history well, just to hear things as they were playing out, as broadcast in live radio news breaks and radio broadcasts. Unimaginable stuff to have been there in person. Check it out. I've posted links on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People right after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:35, and the news is brought to you by U&I Furniture. A 32-year-old Hiram man is headed to prison for multiple domestic violence and drug convictions. Joshua E. Johns was ordered to serve a term of 0 to 5 years in prison after a judge said he had run out of chances. Johns was sentenced during a virtual hearing in First District Court Monday morning. He previously accepted a global resolution, pleading guilty to assault, attempted burglary, and possession of a controlled substance, all third-degree felonies, and domestic violence in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor. On April 22nd, Logan City police officers responded to a domestic dispute after two complainants reported hearing a woman screaming for help. One of the witnesses reported seeing Johns force himself into the residence. He took the woman and dragged her outside. He then grabbed her by the throat and pushed her into a vehicle. As it was leaving, the victim was heard screaming, "Stop!" Officers were able to locate the vehicle later and initiated a high-risk traffic stop. Both Johns and the victim were safely taken into custody. The woman told police she and Johns got into a verbal dispute. However, she denied being assaulted, claiming it was all a game, and Johns was tickling her instead of grabbing her. Officers reported the woman had bruising above her right eye. There was also an active protective order in place between the two individuals. Police obtained a warrant to search the vehicle. Inside, they located a red straw containing a white substance. According to court records, Johns had multiple protective order violations, drug possession, and other crimes. He was sentenced to jail earlier this year after pleading guilty, striking the same woman with his car. During Monday's sentencing, defense attorney Ryan Holdaway said his client has had an explosive relationship with the victim. He suggested that a jail sentence and strict probation would be better than prison. Cache County Chief Deputy Attorney Tony Baird pointed out that Johns had been convicted of 9 criminal cases during the past 2 years. He said it was obvious that the defendant had both a domestic violence and drug problem. Judge Angela Fonsbeck explained how she had sentenced Johns to jail and probation before, but he still committed more crimes. She said she believed he could change, but he had not taken advantage of any of the opportunities provided by the court before, leaving her with the only option to send him to prison. And a 65-year-old Nibley man has been arrested for allegedly trying to strangle a woman last month. Ricky S. Harris was booked into the Cache County Jail last Friday. Harris was arraigned during a virtual hearing in First District Court Monday afternoon. He was charged with aggravated kidnapping, a first-degree felony, aggravated assault, and assault with substantial bodily injury. The charges carry a maximum sentence to up to life in prison. Cache County Chief Deputy Attorney Tony Baird asked for the court to hold Harris in jail without bail. He explained how Cache County Sheriff's deputies were called to investigate a domestic dispute November 24th. The alleged victim claimed the suspect threw her to the ground and attempted to strangle her. The woman described how Harris allegedly wrapped a coat around her neck and threatened to kill her. She was able to later free herself and seek medical care for several broken ribs. Judge Angela Fonsbeck agreed with Baird and refused to grant Harris bail. She said the initial evidence suggested that if released, the suspect posed a danger to the community. Harris spoke only briefly, saying he could lose his house if he remained in jail. He was ordered to return to court on Wednesday. And law enforcement is asking for the public's help identifying a suspected car burglar. The man was captured on camera breaking into a vehicle on November 15th. In a social media post, the Logan City Police Department released photos of the suspect. He was seen wearing a black hoodie with logos on it, black shorts, and a ball cap. Police allege the man walked up to a white passenger car, parked, and left unlocked outside a Logan condo. He reportedly opened the car door and removed several items. Officers are asking for anyone who recognizes the suspect to call the Logan Police Department. KBNU News Time is 4:40.
The family's coming home for the holidays, and you'll need sofas to sit on, beds to sleep in, and tables to eat at. Upgrade your furniture for less than you think at UNI Furniture. Their #1 selling mattress is a Therapeutic Queen mattress for $399. An upgrade to a Maloof for only $599. Take home a good deal on an American-made Sofa Love or recliner from Franklin, Southern Motion, Broyhill, and Lane. And their most popular dining set seats 6 with 4 chairs and a bench for $899. Get your home holiday ready at the place where there's always a better buy. UNI Furniture, 28 West 1st North, downtown Logan.
KBNU weather for tonight. Looks like a pretty nice evening, mostly clear, low in the mid-20s, partly cloudy in the morning, then partly sunny. Slight chance of rain in the afternoon tomorrow, mid-40s. Rain likely by Wednesday night, and then rain and snow likely after midnight, but little or no snow accumulation expected. And then cloudy, 50% chance of snow on Thursday, and colder temps, mid-30s for the high. It's been to 49. Right now it's 45 at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. They invite you to bring back the sounds that you've been missing. Schedule a free hearing evaluation with Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Amanda Boydston bringing you the Daily Financial Market Report on behalf of financial advisor Clayton McMurdy and Edward Jones for Tuesday, December 7th. Sentiment continues to improve this week, with equity markets up sharply on Tuesday, adding to Monday's gains. The key catalyst, with headlines suggesting symptoms of the new variant may be less severe than originally feared, easing concerns over the potential new wave of pandemic restrictions that would hurt the economy. This stokes renewed optimism, with energy, technology, and consumer discretionary sectors leading small-cap outperforming, and oil prices and global equities also trading higher today. The Dow was up 494 points at 35,721. The Nasdaq closed up 462 points at 15,687. S&P closed up 95 points at 4,687. In commodity market, the price of oil was up $1.91 at $71.40, and the price of gold was up $7 to $1,786.60. In stocks of local interest, Apple was up $5.86 at $171.18. Autoliv was up 64 cents at $99.87. Campbell's was down 18 cents at $41.12. General Electric was up $1.54 at $97.55. Home Depot was up 48 cents at $416.18. Lowe's was up $5.73 at $256.91. Nucor was up $3.77 at $114.01. Procter & Gamble was down 40 cents at $151.75. R.R. Donald was up 7 cents at $10.52. Thermo Fisher was up $6.46 at $628.71. Wells Fargo was up $1.44 at $50.25. Walmart was down 45 cents at $138.55, and Zions was up 57 cents at $64.44. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor Clayton McMurdy, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 1309 North Main in Logan. If you'd like additional information, please contact us at 435-753-0537.
NMLS 1817019.
Got a rate over 2.9%? There's a falsehood that you should only refi if you can cut your rate by 1%. The truth is, lowering your rate by just 0.25% and making the same payment you make right now can cut years off your mortgage, saving you tens of thousands in interest. Lendrite Mortgage will show you exactly how much you will save by cutting your rate by only 0.25%. Pay zero closing costs with our Freedom Loan. If your rate is over 2.9%, be smart. Stop wasting money. Lock a 30-year rate as low as 2.25% or a 15 at only 1.75%. APR 2.45 and 1.96 respectively. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendritemortgage.com. For rates in the ones, call 801-APPROVE or visit lendritemortgage.com.
Several families who need help this holiday season have been nominated by trusted individuals. Some of them need winter clothes, others would like toys or music, and others simply need basic necessities. The Cache Valley Media Group is sponsoring Cares for Christmas. Visit caresforchristmas.org to see what these families need, then drop off your donations to 810 West, 200 North in Logan. Thank you for helping these deserving families, and thanks for caring this Christmas.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Our good friend Craig Peterson joining us in hour 2 of today's show for the For the People Book Club. Got a lot to talk about. We might cover a couple of books in this month's installment, which will also be the last book club episode of the year. If you'd like to catch up on all of 2021's book club episodes, I've conveniently linked to each podcast episode on our Facebook page, and you can download them there and maybe add a lot to your reading list for the holiday season if you plan to take some time to do that. Right now, though, there was a recent bill passed at the state level here in Utah that had everything to do with public safety, specifically impaired driving. What many people didn't know, though, is that a man named Ken Snyder, executive director of the Shingo Institute at Utah State University's Huntsman School of Business, was instrumental in the passage of this bill, which was at the time a resolution, which then became a federal law. So it started as a resolution of support and then became an actual federal law, making some changes that impact and aim to prevent impaired driving. So many people haven't heard the name Ken Snyder or known that Utah State University employee was instrumental in this new federal law. Well, we've got the details for you. Here's Craig.
Well, thanks, Jason. A Utah State University employee was instrumental in the passage of a new federal law recently that's going to dramatically improve the safety of all new vehicles. Ken Snyder, the executive director of the Shingo Institute at USU's Huntsman School of Business, lost his daughter, Kathy Snyder Evans, to a drunk driver. This was 8 years ago. Ken joins us, and from what I've read here, Ken, you partnered with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or MAD, to advocate for this new law. When did the partnership begin with them, and what was their reaction when you approached them?
Well, let me first of all say my daughter's name is Katie, not Kathy. So
that's good to know. Thank you.
A few months after Katie was killed, as the director of the Shingo Institute, I work with a lot of people in the automotive industry. They use our model to drive excellence within their organizations. And I know several of the senior executives of those organizations very well. They've been friends for many years. And I couldn't help but think there's got to be, with all the self-driving cars and other safety tech that's being put on cars, I had to believe that there was technology out there that could be used to prevent drunk driving. And especially drunk driving deaths like my daughter. And so I started calling my friends, and to a person, they all said, yeah, the technology exists. And they then explained to me some of the capabilities of some of the safety systems that are on cars today that are not being utilized in this way, but could be. And they also told me about technologies that would be easily implemented if mandated, but the automakers weren't inclined to do that. And so when I got educated by my friends on that, I contacted MAD. I called up the head of their government lobbying group at MAD and said, I've got inside information about how we could use technology to prevent drunk driving. And are you interested? And he said yes. And I started working with MAD, and over the course of the last couple of years, I met with several dozen senators and members of Congress and promoted this legislation that just recently passed a few weeks ago.
I should mention what we're talking about is a provision of the Infrastructure and Jobs Act that requires the Department of Transportation to mandate new vehicles come equipped with the technology that can mitigate and hopefully eliminate the behaviors that are exhibited by impaired drivers. Explain the technology, Ken, that first detects when a driver is impaired and actually stops the car, apparently, before tragedy strikes. Were you involved in developing that technology?
No, it's being developed by the automotive suppliers, the people that make the brains behind self-driving cars. It's the same people that have done this. And we're technology neutral. We, in this case, meaning MAD and myself, we are technology neutral. There's 3 different broad categories of technology that could be used, and it's up to the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, or NHTSA, to decide which of those technologies to use and how to apply the technologies. But let me just describe. There's 3 major categories. Category 1 is driver performance monitoring technology, and that's on most new cars today. For example, lane assist is something that's very common, emergency braking. Those are all part of a sensor system that is on the outside of the vehicle that senses whether you're deviating from your lane or how closely you're about to hit something in front of you or how closely you're following somebody in front of you, whether there's somebody in your blind spot. And a drunk driver, almost all drunk drivers, weave and drive recklessly prior to a crash that kills somebody. And that same system can be programmed, and some of the automakers have already done this. That can be programmed to detect reckless driving and determine that the driver is impaired, and then do an automatic parking system that pulls the car over to the side of the road and parks it. Second category is what would be called driver monitoring. This is on many vehicles today, mostly high-end vehicles, but it's a camera on the inside of the car or sensors on the inside of the car that monitor the state of the driver. So it can detect not only drunk drivers, but it can also detect drowsy drivers or distracted drivers. If you look away and you're texting on your phone when you shouldn't be, it can detect that as well. Or if you're nodding off and going to sleep, it can see your eyelids are closed and your head's bobbing. Those types of things, as well as detecting drunk drivers, and once again engage the car to pull over to the side of the road and park. And the third technology, and this isn't on any cars today other than in the form of interlock systems, which are an active device. The driver has to breathe into a tube to detect alcohol levels. The bill calls for passive, meaning a driver doesn't have to do anything. And there's patented systems out there that have pinholes in the steering wheel that can suck air in just as an interlock system would do, and then test it for alcohol content and determine whether it exceeds the acceptable limit, and then refuse to drive, to be driven, if you will, by the driver if the driver is impaired. So those are 3 technologies. One, the driving performance monitoring technology, the driver monitoring technology, and the alcohol detection technology. And it's up to NHTSA to decide which of those technologies to use or what combination of technologies to use.
Yeah, and I understand that, but as I read it, this is going to happen over the next 3 years. Have you learned to live with the time it takes to get things done sometimes in our...
I never really wanted to see how the sausage is made. To tell the truth, what's interesting is the bills in both houses of Congress were bipartisan, but then they got lumped into the infrastructure bill, which was anything but bipartisan. So the original bills have strong bipartisan support, from both parties, and then only when it got combined with the infrastructure bill did it become a partisanship issue, which I thought was interesting. But it passed, and I'm happy, and I guess that's the way things get done, and I don't comprehend it, nor do I want to. But at the same time, I'm very pleased with those who fought the battle in Congress for us. There's Senator Lujan, Senator Peters, and Senator Scott were the sponsors in the Senate, and Representative Dingell and Representative McKinley fought the battle for us in the House, and those are members of both parties, and so it was a very strong bipartisan action.
I'm told that it could be by maybe 2026 that the cars could be equipped with the technology. I'm told, Ken, the Center for Auto Safety is presenting you an award for your work on this today. It's the Callie Houck Award. Who was she?
She was a safety advocate that advocated for a certain type of technology to be put on cars. And the Center for Auto Safety decided to name the award after her valiant efforts to get some safety features added to vehicles a few years back. And it's an annual award given to a small group of people each year who are advocating for auto safety. And I'm very honored to have been selected. I did not expect this sort of thing, but happy and humbled to receive the honor.
So I understand this is a virtual event, 2 o'clock our time. How can we see it, do you know?
Go to the Center for Auto Safety website.
Okay.
And you can register for it. They'll send you a link. It's www.autosafety.org, and it'll direct you to how to register. And once you register, they'll send you a link, and you can join the link.
And again, that's today. And we're talking on Wednesday about that. Ken, this is a great story, and the day is coming when literally thousands of lives will not be lost due to impaired drivers because of this technology, I'm sure, and they likely won't even be aware of your role in it, but you got to feel good about the work you've done here.
I am very pleased that we got the legislation passed. I feel like we're only halfway home because we haven't got the rulemaking done, and it's not implemented on cars yet. But yes, it will say it estimated the latest numbers are we expect more than 12,000 people to die this year from drunk driving. Oh. And that's just it's a tragedy. It's an ongoing tragedy, and I don't want to have people. I don't want people to have to go through the kind of hell that our family's been through and all of this. And I do this because of Katie, and do this for all of the families who I don't want to have go through what we went through.
Ken, thanks for your time. We appreciate you helping us understand what's going on here.
Thanks, Craig.
Let's get back to the studio now with Jason and Bill.
Thank you, Craig. Interesting stuff. More on this, by the way, at CashValleyDaily.com, and we'll be back right after this.
Adams Wealth Advisors' entire team says, thank you, Cache Valley, for voting them the best financial planner in the Best of Northern Utah competition. Honesty and integrity is the hallmark of Adams Wealth Advisors. Let them earn your trust today.
This is Craig Adams. At Adams Wealth Advisors, we are here to help you receive peace of mind, whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning. Count on our team at Adams Wealth Advisors for honesty, professionalism, and integrity.
Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com or call 752-1702 to schedule a time with an advisor today. Please see AdamsWealthAdvisors.com for more information on these recent awards.
The slow boat from China has made it to Anderson Seed & Garden, bringing loads of Christmas trees that have finally arrived. Just in time for Christmas, Anderson Seed & Garden has over 150 artificial trees now in stock, from 4.5 feet to 12 feet tall. Many flocked, pre-lit, frosted, they have them all. Also, if you want custom installed LED lights, let Anderson do it for you. Hurry in, with Christmas tree shortages across the valley, these trees will go fast. Anderson Seed & Garden, 69 West Center in Logan.
Hey, it's Al Lewis. We all know buttons make our lives easier. But if you have sleep apnea and can't use CPAP, did you know there's a button that can help you go from this to this? It's called Inspire. It's a small device that works inside your body with just the click of a remote. That's right, a button. If you struggle with CPAP, great sleep awaits at InspireSleep.com. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you. And review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
For the People Book Club coming up on the other side of the ABC News at the top of the hour. Basketball tonight as well. Here on KVNU at 7 p.m. Logan at Bonneville, broadcasting live here on 610 AM, 102.1 FM. Ridgeline at Salem Hills at 7 p.m. as well. Broadcasting on 104.5 The Ranch and video streaming at CashValleyDaily.com. And finally tonight, Mountain Crest versus Box Elder at 7:30 on 107.7 KLZX and video streaming at CashValleyDaily.com. We'll be back with Hour 2 right after.